In this theater of ever-scrolling timelines and blinking notifications, we play many roles, but seldom that of the true artist. The stage is set. The audience are restless for authentic marvels. Today, we take the director's chair, turning mere scenes into a saga for the ages. You know, when you're creating content like me, it can be a struggle because you feel like you need to post again and again and again and again, and the speed of social media is just, it's so fast, right? You end up wondering, is this how it's supposed to be? But now we have this thing called AI that is calling us from the depths of technology. And so the question is that something that's gonna help us? Before we had artificial intelligence, I was in a situation where I set myself a challenge of creating one long-form YouTube video per week. And I met it, but at the end of that month, I completely burned out. As in, I did not have any ideas anymore. All my creativity was absolutely gone. And so I realized that without input, you cannot have output. Today, however, that has changed. It hasn't changed in the sense that you still need input, but it has changed in the way and the speed at which you can get that input. So maybe you think, maybe it's not gonna work for me because I have such a specific topic. Or you think that it's too technical, too difficult to learn all this. Or maybe you're like, well, the quality of AI is not quite right there yet. Now, all these things, we can fix them. And I'm here to guide you through that path. So I would invite you to come with me, and we're gonna talk about 3 things that absolutely 10x my creativity while still keeping my own authentic self. In fact, much of the writing of this video was artificial intelligence. But I hope you can see that there's still an authentic voice in here. And that's because I figured out how to make this a two-way street. It doesn't make sense to have everything created by AI and just copy paste it or put it in some kind of text-to-speech and text-to-video and then you just generate it. That sounds so AI and it's so cringe. But once you learn to combine that insight and creativity and ideas from artificial intelligence, from ChatGPT and these other tools, and you combine that with your own voice, absolute magic happens. So I can't wait to talk to you, and let's go, let's dive in. I want to start with showing you how I get creative while still keeping my voice. Now, if you've played around with ChatGPT, it's this thing, it's so funny how overwhelming this is because there's nothing in there, right? Everything that you type in is yours. But at the same time, there's so much possibility out there. So I'm sure you've tried something like this before. Write me a YouTube script about keto. And then something comes out, but what you look at is very, very boring and it doesn't have your voice. It's very generic. It sounds super ChatGPT. So this is the cringe AI. This is what I call this is not what you want to have. And so I take a different approach. I see this as a collaboration. And the way we're going to start this collaboration is by creating our ally. This is our guiding light. This is the AI that's going to help us build the right content. So let's go and start doing that. I started making this before recording the video so we could scroll through this pretty quickly. So let's have a look at the prompt I use. I'll put it in the description as well. So here I'm telling it, you are Ali the ally, Ali my content creation sidekick. You have deep expertise in my topic and in translating it into highly engaging, shareable, story-driven content for social media. You come up with unique, creative, and insightful ideas to bring to the table. But not just that, you also have an ability to structure, reorganize, simplify, and extract just the most important parts of anything that's left, so that all is left is transformative content. That's the hook, that's the start. Now I tell it about me. My name is Marcel. I create content about AI and I'm being a content creator. I primarily make long-form YouTube videos and I have a paid online learning program called AI Accelerator where I teach my students over 6 months how to fully embrace AI, become more joyful in their work and magnify their creativity. Nice to meet you, Ali. Let's start this coaching conversation. So what I want to do here is I want to have a long single conversation in ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT has only a limited amount of memory. So if you have a really long conversation, at some point it'll start forgetting some of these things. So it'll drift off over time. But I like sort of saturating it with information so that all that it knows, like it's completely filled up with knowledge about me and my style and what I'm writing about. And I feel that anything you produce then is much, much better. So I like having a few really huge chats in ChatGPT, and that really makes it much less AI feeling, right? So let's have a look at what it's typing here. So it's telling me, nice to meet you, Marcel. Okay, before we dive in, maybe it's interesting to know your target audience. So this is immediately just an interesting question it came up with. So I answered it. And then I wanted to start with brainstorming. And it immediately came up with a bunch of ideas of videos I could make. It told me about the modules I could use for my AI accelerator program. All super interesting. I don't care that much about it. And I think this is an interesting lesson for ChatGPT in general. Sometimes you want it to think about certain things. So you need to ask it like, hey guys, can you please write down what good elements of a YouTube video are? And now tell me what they should be in my specific case. I just wanted to first think about the elements and only then write it down, but I don't care about it myself. I kind of know this stuff, but I do want the AI to think about it. So sometimes what it's writing out, you don't care about reading it, but it should still write it, if that makes sense. So now I'm telling it I'm working on a video about building an automation that creates tweets based on an article or video transcript. So check that out. What elements would make this video a success? What parts do I need to think about? For each element and part, provide some ideas. So this is a two-tier question. First of all, I ask it, what's a good thing of YouTube videos? And then I ask it for ideas in each of those parts. Now, what I would do here is I would go back to my notes and I would paste that in and I would edit it and structure it, remove the parts I don't like, add in more parts that I do like, and kind of in the end, you get into this mumbo jumbo little chaos bits of ideas. And honestly, that's totally fine, because one of the things that artificial intelligence and large language models like ChatGPT are really good at is structuring the information. They can pick out the good parts. They can create it and turn it into chapters. And that is what I think is super useful and super interesting. Because when you're creative, you want to stay in the flow. You don't want anything to kind of stop you from going. So we're using this in two parts. One is that we ask it for more ideas, right? I would just go back and forth. I get ideas, I edit them. I get more ideas, I edit them. I get more ideas, I edit them. And then finally, when it comes time to converge, right? And to get to a single outcome, then I can put it in and ask it to outline. Again, there's still an editing round on my side. And that, that process really gets this combination of the authenticity of your voice plus the AI that's just making everything go faster and faster and faster. And it's such joy to work together, because you feel like Superman. You feel like there's literally this second brain thinking at your side, helping you, coming up with ideas, structuring, like everything that kind of feels a little bit of resistance, you just type it in and you keep going. And it's crazy, it's crazy. So we have this ally now that helps us as our sidekick, helps us create more and faster and better. Now, there's also a human part to creativity, and we cannot forget about that. What is my key strategy for more creativity? Walking. Yeah, sometimes you just need to walk away. And this is because the subconscious it's amazing, right? If you're creative, you know this. You know that just letting things simmer works. You know that going for a walk works. You know that taking a shower works. And we really must have time for that. This is an idea called a slow burn system, right? We tend to do our work in big chunks of like super hyper focus, put the hat on, type to get it done. But that's not the most creative way. That's not the best way to create unique and engaging and interesting content. What you want is you want your subconscious to think about it. So I just start with things and then I leave them for days. And so you need a good system that allows you to handle this. You need a way to have things in there to let it simmer so you can work on it and continue working it. So I think these are two parts, right? Or three parts actually. There's the human part of how do you increase your creativity by itself, like walking in the shower. There's a second part that is how do I use the AI to kind of make this go 10 times faster. And then there's the third part, which is the system. Where do I put it in? What helps me structure it and like keep an overview of all the chaos of everything that's happening so that I can actually do all those things, right? And that system is maybe the hardest part, because that is a thing that still requires human work. And there's a note-taking system. I use a code tool called Obsidian. I love it. I'm a big fan, but it took me some time to get used to it. And I'm sure you see that as useful, but it might be too overwhelming to take action. Maybe you're like, wait, all of this, it's so cool. I need to get started. It's so much. Well, how do I do it? But and you really need to get into this. You need to get started, because otherwise everything you've been learning here is just useless, right? I said that is the big thing. That is the thing, like making something that actually works and supports you. So if you want to learn about that, you should check out my AI Accelerator, which is a 6-month program where we really dive into all of this. We work on it together. It's a very small group. There's maximum 20 people, and we're building all this out. We're creating our creativity. We're making it all work. If you're ready to dive in, if you really want to go, learn for it, check out the link in the description, read more about it, book a call with me, and we can have a look at it. So I really want to get you through this, but it's going to take some work. And I think the best way for you to do it is when we are together. Hope to see you there.